The following is a presentation of the ForceCenter podcast feed.
As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, hello there, and welcome to Databank Brawl, a podcast where we learn about Star Wars characters, discuss them, and then make those characters fight for our amusement and hopefully yours. I am your host. My name is Joseph Scrimshaw. With me, as always, is Ken Napzok.
And no whiskey, because
No whiskey.
our recording schedule is a little earlier today.
It's morning, so we're going to wait until the next recording when it's slightly later in the morning, and then the whiskey is coming out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so listen to these episodes back to back and track the whiskey progress. That's what we like to do. We have a couple of great guests with us from Pencils and Parsecs. We have Hector Navarro.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, hi. And Bert Jennings.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello
Nice.
there.
Yeah,
When you
now
did
you
your
see-
intro, when we did the intro, Bert and I looked at each other like, that was awesome. Great. We approve.
Nice. I saw some head movement out of the corner of my eyes. Like, I think that was approval. I hope that was approval and not judgment. What?
What?
How dare he?
How dare you,
that
sir.
asshole. So tell us a little bit about Pencils and Parsecs.
Yeah, totally. Pencils Parsecs is a live Star Wars role-playing game on Hyper RPG that is live on Twitch.
Bert, what's a role-playing game?
A role-playing game.
Is it like a
How much
video
time
game?
do you... No, it's like a video game.
Because I got a PS4.
Imagine exactly like that,
Okay.
except instead of all the numbers being rolled behind the scenes in a video game, you're actually rolling them with real dice in front of you.
Whoa.
it's
I never
pretty
thought
cool.
of it like that.
Yeah,
that's
that's
actually an
pretty much
accurate
it.
way to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like a video game.
It's
They're
just like a video game.
constantly freeze for updates, right?
The video game it's closest to is like Mario Party, which actually has a dice
Yeah.
in the game that you press a button and then roll it, and then it gives you your results.
Yep.
So it's like that.
So it's
So
Star
that's
Wars
it.
Mario Party you do
Star
on
Wars
Twitch.
Mario Party is
Yeah.
exactly... Yeah.
With more drinking, more spice,
Yeah.
more... We get hardcore.
It's really...
You guys-
It's taken a dark turn, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, Bert, you're the GM, the
Yes.
game master, as it
Yes.
were. I guess we can't call you the dungeon master. There's there's dungeons. in
Actually, you guys
Spouse.
have gone in
Temples.
quite a few.
Yeah.
Things.
Temple Master. That would be a good new name. for you.
TM, trademark.
Yeah.
How
yeah.
how long? How many
Grand Moff.
seasons? You're starting your third, right?
Starting, we just finished season 2.
Right.
We're about to go into season 3. It's super fun. It's the cool aspect of it is you're watching a bunch of really talented people, and then myself play a role playing game set in the Star Wars universe. It's all live, but there's also chat and group participation. So it's like everything on Hyper. You can kind of interact with the story as
Yeah.
it's happening. So we have different ways to do that. You can get dice pools that players can basically grab from and improve their odds of.
There's a
succeeding.
light side and a dark side like chart that people can contribute. Like, oh, we want to fuck them over,
Yeah.
or like, oh, we want to help them.
Yeah.
So like, they do that.
And it's very real because
Yeah.
we had just a throwaway almost. We had spice as an unlock for like,
That's-
hey, what's in this crate?
Right.
And
I was about to explain what spice was.
yeah,
I don't
please
have to
go
do
for
it here.
No,
That's
no,
drugs.
you-
It's
Yeah.
basically
Star
drugs.
Wars, Star Wars drugs.
and it ended up being for something that was such a throwaway that the audience was like, yeah, hell, drugs, turned into far-reaching consequences for
Yeah.
the rest of the story. So
Just like real life drugs.
Yeah.
It's cool. So people should absolutely check that out. We're doing a couple episodes with people from Pencils and Parsecs. So you're going to hear a lot about it. But before we get into our actual fight, this could be our whole interview, but I just want it real quick. What is your basic relationship to Star Wars? Uber fan? Where did you come in? Just the real basics.
Basics is since I was born in the year 1987, missed the OG trilogy in theaters, had somewhat of an exposure to it on VHS as we were growing up, but like my folks didn't have it. My friends, my neighbor friends had it. They had all the toys, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Didn't quite get into it. Even with the special editions in the late 90s, I went to go see it. Didn't quite grab me. Prequels, I remember seeing Phantom Menace and being like, that's fun. I like it. I think Jar Jar's funny because I was 12 or whatever.
Sure.
Still didn't quite grab me. It wasn't because I'm a comic book and superhero guy, and
Right.
I'm the guy that like my thing that changed my world was like, oh, Sam Raimi directed Spider-Man,
Right.
and like I'd been waiting my whole life for
Yeah.
that. So that's where I was at. It wasn't until Genndy Tartakovsky did the Clone Wars 2D animated.
Nice.
Yes.
He's coming off of Samurai Jack. I'm a massive cartoon fan. Saw that, and I went, the world is unlocked for me.
Sure. Yeah.
I love the
Yeah.
potential for this, for storytelling and for action and for, so, and then after that it was doing more dives into expanded universe at the time, reading some books, reading some cool Dark Horse comics. Bert let me, I still have your, I need to get you back your, what is it, Crimson Empire? Got to get that back to you.
But Bert's Crimson Empire.
But was kind of into it. And then with sort of recent cartoons, recent movie directions, however you feel about them, what I dig is the power behind Disney and now Marvel is now the comics are real streamlined and they're all kind of, and I'm a big comic guy. So my that was kind of my upbringing with it. And now I'm at a place where I have my favorites just because there's just more. There's so much of it everywhere that I think I can point to I think if it's not Last Jedi, my favorite movie might be Rogue One. I don't think they're the best. Those are just the ones I connect. I remember seeing Rogue One and really connecting to, again, similarly to seeing somebody else tackle it back in the day with Clone Wars, other than George, to go, oh, look at what these other creators can kind of do with it. So that's where I'm at, and Bert's is completely different.
But what's your story, Great.
Long story short, I was introduced to Star Wars when I was 5 years old because my dad was like, "We're gonna watch these," and my mom's like, "He's too young." He's like, "We're doing this."
Sit down. Sit down.
And it was one of those things where I think my dad realized, oh no, what have I done? Because I just fell in love with it. It made me. I was so blown away by a universe, just something where I'm every single thing where I'm reading all the books, I'm reading all the Tales of the Cantina. I'm like, that guy did that. That guy goes to Hoth. And all
Your dad's like, what have I done?
Yeah, he's like,
I don't want to know that about Greedo. Shut up, kid.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Dad, did you know that Greedo? Did you know that Greedo went to the? Shut up! I'm trying to watch the movie.
And so, to the point where I think I was doing for grade school book reports. I'm doing the Thrawn trilogy, right?
Awesome. Nice.
And then it got labeled, oh, Bert, he's the Star Wars guy. To the point where I went to a new school and they're like, hey, it was sixth grade. Who are you? And tell us something about yourself. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, my name's Bert and I like Star Wars. And little did I know that was right at the precipice where it wasn't cool to say that anymore, at least in the context of an educational system. So boom, branded instantly, Bert, the Star Wars guy. To where I met people from the same school years later, and they're like, "Oh, you still like Star Wars?" And I'm like, "Well, no shit, of course I do." But is that the only thing you remember about it?
The conversation we had on the swing set. Remember that? Yeah.
I wasn't even a massive Star Wars, and I had a similar thing happen in fourth grade. I'm near the front of the classroom, and a girl was asking a teacher a question, and then they both turned to me as everybody was doing an activity or something. And the girl in my grade, in fourth grade, turned to me. She goes, "Hector, what's the name of that sword in Star Wars?" And I was like, "Lightsaber." Why? Immediately just answered it because it's common knowledge to me.
Sure.
It's basic movie trivia. And then the girl and the teacher both laughed at me that I knew, and I was like, "What the?" Because
that's
this was
knowing what a car is called. What's the thing with wheels? It is a car. That's basic cultural knowledge. I'm incensed.
It's like saying what was the name of Don Vito's son in The Godfather? Michael Corleone. It's basic movie trivia. How am I got branded like a nerd for that, and I was like, because it was right in the mid '90s when before Star Wars got cool again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, all right. Well, this show is going to be an opportunity to be rebranded because this is far beyond what's the sword called.
Here, Bert, we want you to be the Star Wars guy.
Please.
You've come into a safe space.
You tell us what Greedo did.
Give us a hug. You're okay.
So these wonderful Star Wars nerds are going to join us on this adventure. If you have listened before, you know what this is. We pull these descriptions directly. And when I say we, I mean I. I pull these descriptions directly from the StarWars.com databank, so they are minty fresh canon, and sometimes they're very interestingly loaded in how the descriptions of the characters are written. We're going to read each one, talk about them a little bit, and then we will fight. Our first combatant. Is everyone ready for our first combatant?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Our first combatant is that well-known and very beloved Star Wars character, Ratts Tyerell. And the phones come out. Here's what the official StarWars.com databank has to say about Ratts Tyerell. Ratts Tyerell was the tiniest of the pod racer pilots in the Bone to Eve classic, though size matters not in such a competition. The little scrapper piloted a pod racer with immense engines, too big, it would seem, for the tight confines of the Laguna Caves. On the second lap of the race, Rat's accelerator jammed and he couldn't get clearance past the rocky stalactites. The resulting fireball killed the little guy. His family, who had traveled to Mos Espa to witness the race, was reportedly seen grieving shortly thereafter.
There's a great shot on Wikipedia of Tyrell's final moments is the caption of the picture.
Yeah.
It is one of the better deaths. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bert's got it down.
It's a very significant death. Yes, Bert just did a great impression with the little dying jazz hands and everything.
Yeah. I remember that.
So this is part of the reason I love doing this show is that these descriptions sometimes are really long for a small character, really short for a major character, or just hyper-focus weirdly on issues of size and mortality for this character.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like something's like Lando ran Cloud City.
Yeah.
The Ratts Tyerell.
Ratts Tyerell, he was too small, but we shouldn't judge him by that. But his engines were also too big. I mean, this thing like immediately contradicts itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
Okay.
All right. So Ken sometimes dives a little deeper in Wikipedia. I'm sure, and we stay in the canon.
We stay in the
tabs,
canon
'cause
tab. So,
legends.
I'm going to switch back over that
That might be at a
because
disadvantage then. But
yeah,
all right, here we go.
the legends. We could be here for all afternoon breaking down the tales. He probably goes to Hoth with Greedo at one point. So height is 0.79 meters. Eye color black, but he has those nice goggles on. He looks like like Snow Job's goggles from G.I. Joe. If you remember that. Skin color, they say blue and white. He does kind of an aqua feel to him. And how would you say that species name there, Joseph? Alina?
Aline. Yeah.
So he's
I think it's Aleen, right? Or is there an A at the end?
Homeworld is Aline. That's the planet. And then so he's at Alina.
Oh yes, yeah. And there's a Clone Wars episode or two about those.
There always is.
Yeah, those creatures.
Always is. And it was around 32 years of age, give or take, his species. I mean,
it's just really drive home it's sad that he died.
Yeah, he died 32 years before the Battle of Yavin, so I guess he's not 32. I read that wrong.
Okay.
Anyways, and he's got a little pointy head. He's got a pointy little, almost ferret lizard head.
Yeah, and I would say, based on this action figure, he has a long crotch. Not just junk. His actual crotch, like where his legs are to the bottom of his crotch, is long.
Well, it makes sense. His wife had 3 kids, so he was putting that sucker to work.
Yep.
He was.
That's why he was risking the pod race. I get it.
All right, Bert, I'll start with you. What are your opinions and thoughts about this character? Do you have any?
Honestly, it's just a sad, tragic story that we don't know more about him. I'm going to say that the fact that he does have children, it seems to be that in the Star Wars universe where everything more or less breaks down to broken homes and families, there's a man who actually has a wife and kids trying to support them and maybe bit off a little bit more than he could chew. But honestly, you got to give him respect. The fact that, one, he has a pod racer, which we find out is not something that a lot of people have. And there's a whole thing about trying to have one, and then you need to have certain skills to do it. And I mean, he's more or less even smaller than Anakin. And there's a big point of this little human can do this. Doesn't make any sense. So I give him props for at least getting there. He's got his pod racer to Tatooine. He's brought his family to Tatooine. It's like a big thing. This may be, honestly, the most tragic story within Star Wars because this family probably put every credit into going to this race. And Dad winds up dead.
They're in the stands watching. And people are just sort of like, all right, there goes one. Who cares?
They're cheering.
They cheer. They
Yeah.
cheer. It's messed up. Maybe.
It's those
deep
outer
down,
rim worlds, man.
Yeah.
I think I realize this is possibly George Lucas's take on NASCAR culture.
Yeah.
And how people
Yeah.
go to watch.
They expect the crash.
Crash,
you know?
They want it.
They want
but then,
that
like,
death
but then
and violence.
They
thirst
want the
for it.
driver to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll cheer for that. Like, he's walking, ladies and gentlemen. He's gotten out of the car. You know.
I love the thought that those aliens watching, they're like, maybe he's okay. No, that was a large fireball.
I remember being like genuinely bummed out that happened because it's played for laughs.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he's like a funny looking alien.
Sure.
But the fact that he throws up his hands and screams, it's messed up. It's messed up.
That he has just a
and they
second to
show the
realize his
family.
fate.
And he's made to seem like so incompetent, but the way you break it down and the way he's described and his story is described in canon, it's like that dude had skills. You had to have certain skills to be there and to be doing that, but it's just played like, oh, look at that dumb little alien puppet thing. He died. It's like, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've created a special edition in people's minds where we can really just slow down the Blu-ray and be haunted for a moment there.
It is.
Ken, how do you feel about Ratts Tyerell?
Yeah, you know I love my pod racers. You and I have an affinity for these weird Gasgano Quadraneros pod racers, and Ratts Tyerell is...
Do you have a favorite?
For me, it might be Ben Quadras.
I'm a Team Toe man myself.
He's a Team Toe. I recently set up my Nintendo 64 and I've been playing Pod Racer again.
Nice.
And Gasgano's been rising in the ranks.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ratts Tyerell, it is that death. You guys are you're so right. There's a story there.
Yeah.
And to hear it, much like the most famous entry we always talk about here is Dengar, because it really attacks Dengar's character.
Slovenly and crude and hits on people. It's unwanted advances. Yeah.
This one really paints a sad tale of a family going home fatherless.
I agree. And I think the detail that is really important, that it's included in the databank that they want us to know is canon, is that his accelerator jammed. So this was a technical problem. It's not. It wasn't hubris. He didn't screw up. He didn't make a bad choice. So Bulba didn't do anything. It's just the cruelty of the universe. For some reason, the will of the Force. The midi-chlorians got together and said, let's kill that one right now in this moment.
He does have one of my favorite pod racers, though. He's got like the big circular jet engine type of pod there.
Okay.
And I do like that one. I love the designs of the pod racer.
Now that you said, Joseph, that it was the Force, I feel like if he had lived, would he have like accidentally killed Anakin and then totally said the universe would have
maybe
been
he just
fucked or
had
something?
to die.
Something like that. But now I'm thinking back and I'm like, it would have been awesome if George Lucas had cut in just a couple of really quick like Edgar Wright style cuts where it shows his accelerator jamming. So we're like, oh no, and then we really feel for him, you know?
Not Ratts Tyerell. Yeah.
But instead he's just like a stalactite, like you idiot.
Yeah.
You dummy.
Yeah.
That is amazing. All right, so we are going to go on to our next combatant with Ratts Tyerell in our heart. Our next combatant is probably a little more well-known. It is Owen Lars. Amazing that he has never fought before, but
that is amazing.
He has not.
Wait, are we talking Owen in his prime or Owen like
Well, we'll get to that.
death?
We'll get to that in a moment. Yeah.
Okay.
First, let's soak in what we know about Owen Lars. Here's what the databank says about this character. Owen Lars continued his father Klieg's efforts to build his homestead into a productive farm, working alongside his wife Beru. Helping with the dreary chores required to keep the farm profitable, Owen relied on his nephew Luke Skywalker. He could not rein in Luke's drive for adventure, though. Young Skywalker longed to leave Tatooine and join the Imperial Academy to live life among the stars. Owen forbade it, reminding Luke that he was needed on the moisture farm. Skywalker would eventually leave the farm, but under tragic circumstances. Imperials searching for missing droids razed the Lars homestead and killed Owen and Beru. Beautiful. Now that one's a little bit more to the point, but it does still have some value judgment words like dreary chores.
Yep. There's also fiery death.
Fiery death.
Fiery death.
Oh, yeah.
So we know this character a little bit more. Nobody's whipping out their phones to pull up what he looked like. We know.
Yeah.
We know what he looks like down to the skeleton.
To the bird.
So, Hector, I want to start with you. How do you feel about Owen Lars?
I think he's a great character because nobody's ever like, man, he was a real jerk. Everybody understands the parental figure. Everybody understands his purpose in the story. And the way you were describing the story that everybody knows, which is him and Aunt Beru are killed by stormtroopers, we all know this, and yet until this very moment, I've never pictured the scene playing out.
Yeah,
as you were reading it, because they're like, stormtroopers raised their homestead. I was like, oh man, that's brutal. Like, I can just imagine a bunch of dudes get down, and then like them killing this elderly couple looking for this old man or the droids or the kid, whatever they were looking for, the droids, I think. It's another sad thing that I'm glad we don't see, because Star Wars is just a classic story that cuts to the point. You get it. It's about Luke. It's the feeling and everything. So yeah.
But you probably would see that in Pencils and Parsecs.
Yes, you would. We would. Yeah, it would be brutal.
You would see the full deliberation of like, well, we have them on the ground, we have them pinned. Should we bring in the flame trooper to just light them up? Yeah, let's do it.
Let's roll for it. Yeah, man.
All right, they are skeletons.
You got to despair. It's a crispy crisp. Yeah. But I never like hate on Lars. I'm like, I know what I know what Owen's. I know what his deal is, and I kind of feel bad for him because he's like, I'm just trying, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm trying to get by. How about you, Bert? How do you feel about Owen Lars?
I mean, everyone has that parental figure, at least the concept of it, where it's like, I just want to go hang out with my friends and go to Tashi Station, do your chores. Damn it, So and also coming from like a somewhat farming-ish background, it's like I get Luke's frustration with stuff and things, and it totally makes sense. I just go, there's a few things that always confuse me about Owen, right? There's the level of and maybe we'll see this if they do an Obi-Wan movie with him on Tatooine or not. How much does he know about Luke himself in relationship to Darth Vader and Anakin and the whole background? And we have the prequels, and so it's like there's this weird information of like, is he keeping him there just to work the farm, or is he keeping him there because
to keep him safe?
Keep him safe, and it's like there's a level of like, okay, you respect that. And despite everything, despite all this stuff and all the horrible things that seem to revolve around the Skywalker family, his end result is burnt to death with his wife. So it's like
it came to my doorstep as much as I tried to keep it away.
It doesn't even get to know like what Luke turns into and like the rest of the galaxy and like, could you imagine? So it's always interesting, but but again, with that asterisk, it's like either the smartest or the dumbest person because. Hey, what's his name? Oh, it's Luke. Okay, cool. So we're going to totally change his last name so it's not Skywalker? No, just keep it Skywalker.
Keep it.
Okay, cool. Like, oh, that's fine. Like, does nobody realize that maybe... But again, maybe they think Anakin's dead and it makes sense and like da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Dude,
But,
I am filling in the blanks in my head right now, and I'm like, Uncle Owen is a badass because he's like, no, this kid needs to know who he is.
Sure.
Right.
But we will, like I can picture, it's Ewan McGregor giving him the baby and him being like, you have to keep him safe and I'm going to go live in the woods. And Owen's like, you should change your name. Like Owen's just like, all right, we got this on lockdown. Me and Baru, we got this kid. Don't even worry about it. So anytime Luke's like, well, I want to go and what about crazy old man Kenobi or old Ben Kenobi? And he's like, don't go over there. Maybe he's
There's some truth there because that story was it from a certain point of view in the anthology book. There's a flashback and Obi-Wan goes to save the day and Owen's like, I got my blaster, get away from my farm.
Yeah, there's
I'm taking care of it.
Great details where Kenobi is carving little toys of ships for Luke, and even Owen's like, don't be encouraging the adventure.
Yeah.
I got this on lockdown. Ken, how do you feel about Owen Lars?
Yeah, I always kind of loved Owen Lars in a weird sense because it's like, especially when you grow up like I did in the early 80s where you didn't have a lot of this other information. It was just kind of, it was like, what does he know? And obviously, then the novel comes out of Jedi and he's Obi-Wan's brother, which has changed.
Yeah, totally changed.
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah, still there. So at the time, so back in '83, I was like, holy, this guy knows a ton, like what's going on? And I think you're right now as the story's expanded, we could assume that I think they all would think Anakin's dead, but still the Emperor Palpatine, he might come. So I think you're right, Bert. I think he had a sense of what was going on and a sense of purpose, like you're saying, Hector, of like, no, you've handed me this. I don't think I wanted it. At the end of Sith, he doesn't look happy.
No,
sure.
Baru looks happy, but and then the parental figure thing, you kind of get it too. Yeah.
So can we make the assumption that maybe all that time on Tatooine, Owen's moisture evaporator isn't really working?
No.
You know what I'm talking about? They can't have kids. So maybe,
I think there's some truth to that.
I think there's definitely
Adoption in Star
a
Wars
choice
is
there.
big.
Yeah, and in my headcanon, I think they name him Keep Skywalker is a tribute to Shmi because now we know from the prequels that they spent some quality time together and why would we change his name?
Yeah.
Come on, they don't know. I love Owen because we get to see him as the just gruff workaday guy trying to make it all work. Just keep your head down and shut up. Just
Probably
he's so
one of the
right
worst
and
jobs.
so wrong about like don't go out and have adventure, don't live life or feel anything, and you'll be fine. Like that's partially awesome and partially horrible. Owen.
The actor Phil Brown really he's got those crow's feet around the eyes that are so perfect and crispy and crunchy because he's been in the sun, as we know, for only 19 years. He's changed drastically in that time, but he really captured that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you ask like, what's best in life, and he's just like 5 minutes alone. Like that's the spirit of that guy in his old age to me. All right, with all that in mind, let's fight. So here's what we do is the one thing, I go crazy with canon, we go crazy with canon, but the one thing I care about is I don't like fighting in the wrong time period.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So since we know exactly when Ratts Tyerell died in a horrible detail, this is going to be young Owen, because this is going to be pre-Rat's death.
So have you guys ever done a character from like the Resistance era versus the prequel era, if they died in the prequel era, or no?
We haven't, but now we might, because the world between worlds has opened up some possibilities for us.
That's right.
For time travel, so maybe we'll look into that.
you,
Don't
Dave
want to get into all that.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. But there's something about it. I like them all kind of being in the same place.
I like that.
We do
reality.
fudge with we know one of these characters dies on screen. In our world,
we can see.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll
Play
see.
around.
Yeah, we'll fudge it around. So we know that it happens before the events of the Boonta Eve Classic. Probably on Tatooine, because I don't think Uncle Owen leaves a little bit, but we could decide he does. So, Ken, what are you feeling? Do you think this happens classic? Is this on Tatooine?
Tatooine is like, I think 60% of our fights we've determined. recently.
Not quite, but
Not
yeah.
quite. Yeah.
Coruscant's fighting for
50
the titles. Yeah.
Dexter's Diner actually has had more fights than other planets.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, we've had a couple fights inside the actual diner. I think Mos Espa it would be a good spot.
Okay, yeah, all right. So Owen's going a little bit out of town. So now we can decide how old Owen is, because I'm sure Ratts Tyerell has been around for a little while. So this could be the day before the Boonta Eve Classic. This could be 5 years before.
If it's let's say it's the day before, and Ratts Tyerell, we know how old he is. If Joel Edgerton was how old in Revenge of the Sith? How old was he? Like, she's supposed to be like 20? How old was
Well,
Lars?
Yeah, so we're looking at like a 10-year-old Owen Lars, which is
Kind of
pretty
like-
exciting, actually.
Size. Same size.
Same size.
Yeah.
Size matters not unless your engines are too
He's
big.
basically he's Anakin. He's Anakin-ish age.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
it'd be like a little Annie, but Owen.
Yeah, I like this. A little Owie.
Yeah.
We're going to need some fan art. I don't like soliciting for fan art too much, but I like you guys to come up with your own stuff. But a young, gruff 10-year-old Uncle Owen.
Somebody-
Little
somebody-
Owie.
Has a beard and everything. Yeah.
Now,
Look up a picture of Joel Edgerton when he was 10,
Yeah.
and then attach that to a little robed desert kid.
Okay, yeah.
You said something, Bert, that just inspired me. We all had that elementary school friend who had the mustache in 5th grade already.
Yeah, he's definitely got some stubble. All right, this is great. So I think this is how our adventure is going to begin. I think Klieg Lars is just as gruff as Owen. I think that's where Owen learned it from. Sure. Strange for some reason, 10-year-old little Owie has a little bit of stubble. He is becoming a man, a grown adult.
Yeah.
Klieg sees this, and Klieg is trying to put his foot down because he still has both of his feet.
Yeah.
He is trying to say, you need to stay on the farm. And this adventure is Owen's struggling against that, where he's like, no, I'm going to steal the land speeder, and I'm going to go into Mos Espa to try to see that pod race that's coming up real soon.
This is great.
Great setup.
He runs away from the Lars homestead.
This is like a young James T. Kirk in Star Trek, where he's like, James Tiberius Kirk, like this little Owen kid is trying to be a badass.
Yeah.
Klieg is woken up and he's like, "Where's Owen? Where's Owen?"
Okay, well now I don't want to.
And there's no one to answer him because he doesn't have any partner.
I don't want to skip ahead and determine who wins the fight, but I feel like 10-year-old Owen getting his ass kicked by this guy is what causes him to be like, Luke, don't ever go on adventures.
That's a possible
Yeah,
thing.
that's definitely could be the moral of this adventure. Let's find out.
Also, is this to the death?
It's to the whatever we decide.
There was C.O. Bibble did die by Gonk Droid
A
once.
Gonk Droid walked on his face and crushed his face.
Yeah,
and
we
it's
have
my favorite episode.
Yeah,
yes.
we have.
So we'll
Sleep
see.
on those Gonk droids, man.
Don't not.
Yeah, no kidding.
So cinematically, little young Owie, he can barely see over the dashboard of the land speeder. He is zipping through town into Hector's Point. Something like the Star Wars space version of Beastie Boys is blaring as he races through the desert. But it's like remixed to be real funky.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever the jizz wailing version of Sabotage is playing.
Intergalactic planetary.
Dreaming of the stars. And he suddenly comes across something in the desert as he's getting close to Mos Espa. Ken, what does he run into?
He runs into a family of Alina who are got like a transport ship, and on the back of it is this giant pod.
Giant pod.
And there seems to be some kind of problem. Like they're off on the side of the road.
Trying to like
Mos
work on it?
Espa Lane, yeah. is
Okay.
her name,
Okay. And so little Owie skids to a stop. But he's not managing this well. He wasn't paying a lot of attention. What happens to the land speeder careens towards this family, Bert?
Oh no.
He absolutely hits the back. Think of it like you're taking your racer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, and it's in the back carriage. Slams into it. Again, it's a big thing. We saw how big these
Right.
engines are. And it just kind of rattles a little bit. Maybe something comes a little bit loose. Maybe something doesn't. But it seems like now, like the look, first glance, everything seems fine. But we all unfortunately know that deep down there's something wrong with this pod racer.
Okay,
for all of time.
Oh
For
yeah,
the
so
next-
it's a little junk. Yeah, and I think that Ratts Tyerell, worried about his racer, worried about his family, reacts to the way that we know Ratts Tyerell reacts to many things, is to throw his hands up and scream. And he's screaming, his hands waving. He runs up to Owen's land speeder, and what does he say to Owen, Hector?
Well, he's speaking Aline or Alina, and it's basically gibberish to like the humanoid Owen.
Right, sure.
And I just realized that this altercation has turned into an adult grown being yelling at a kid who there's no parental figure there. And that shit stresses me out because Owen went from, I'm on an adventure to like, oh, I want my dad here. Like, no.
But same size.
Yep.
Right,
So,
which is but it's still look. It's the same as if you're a child. If you are a sort of I guess a regular sized person, but when you're a kid, you're 3 feet tall. It's as if you're getting yelled at by an adult grown little person. Same thing.
Sure.
You still know that is
Sure.
a parental being
Right.
that is like exerting their authority, and I am without parent, and now I'm out of my element. And he's screaming because Ratts is like yelling, and then his like wife and 2 kids or 3 kids are coming out. One of them's a baby because she just had the third kid
on the way there.
on the way there.
on the ship.
So they're trying to like he's like worried
Oregon
about
Trail of
yeah,
They're
he's
gonna die
worried
of
about
space
his
dysentery.
racer, and she's like, I need to go get medical attention for this baby that I just gave birth to. So there's so much stress. He's yelling at the family, like, get back in the van or whatever.
This is
like,
all great,
you know.
but what I need to hear,
Is
since
the-
you have
is what
so
happens.
no, you have such emotional connection to it. I want to hear what it sounds like when he is screaming at Owen in Alina.
And Owen's like, what? Like, I don't understand. I'm sorry.
This is why I want to get a protocol droid for the farm.
Yeah, like
Owen's lip is like quivering like a porg. Is it
Okay.
just like
Yeah.
okay.
And I think then something really hurtful happens. One of the very small Alina children point at Owen and they laugh.
they're all gonna laugh at you?
And suddenly the anger wells up in Owen. You know, when you're a young person, especially when you're going out for adventure, you're on that cusp of like, I want to do something cool, but I don't want to piss anybody off. But don't laugh at me, I'm big. And that anger swells up, and he yells at Ratts Tyerell. Ken, what does little Owen yell at Ratts Tyerell?
You can't yell at me. I'm a local. You're into my town. You're into my planet, and I'm the one who lives here.
Like it's this really odd. Like he gets uncomfortable with kind of uncomfortable topics here.
just just say it. He's racist. He just goes full blown racist.
He's a little racist. Yeah. It's like, what are you doing in my part of town?
It's just this really snotty attitude.
Yeah,
really snotty
yeah.
attitude. But the nerd rage is building.
The nerd rage is building, and I think it, in fact, explodes because I think that the other children now see that it is fun, and all the Alina children, even the baby, because Alina are sentient at a very young age, I've decided. They're all pointing and laughing. And Owen's like, you're all stupid, eat Shuda. And then he backs up, and then he tries to just get out of there real quick, but he's fussing with the land speeder controls. He backs up quickly, and he tries to hit forward really fast. He rams the pod racer hard again and clips Ratts Tyerell. So he hits the whole pod racing structure. It jiggles. The family kind of has to jump out of the way, and Ratts Tyerell gets a hit on the hip and just spins like a top and face down in the sand. Bert, what happens next?
Well, of course, at this point, all of his kids are still laughing, and they're laughing kind of at the whole situation. And again, every single credit has been poured into this adventure.
Oh, yeah.
This is their whole life.
Their whole
Yeah.
life. They literally gave birth on the way.
Yeah, she was like, I need to stay home. He's like, no, you're coming with me. This is the
Oh,
food to eat.
We sold the house.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for you to live.
Yeah, we sold our very natural organic hut that we have back on Aline.
He's like, hun, I'm going to win this race. Don't worry.
And of course, now not only has there been damage to the pod, but there's been physical harm to him himself. Oh, no. And at that point, it's like, this is his livelihood is not even putting it mildly. This is everything. And, look, there's been a lot of... people grow pretty fast in the Star Wars universe. So despite even being a 10-year-old human boy, we've seen that he's got some stubble.
Scrub, yeah.
He's maneuvering a land speeder.
Yep.
So at this point, caution is thrown to the wind because screw it, he's going to be doing a huge race anyways. Jumps in their station wagon rental U-Haul, and despite the protests of his wife, floors it after Owen heading into Mos Espa.
Love that.
Okay.
Now it's a vehicle chase.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. So
still with the station wagon and the
Ratts had been on the ground. He jumps in the speeder, and I think actually what happens is that when Owen sees this, he gets a little nervous and he takes off.
Sure.
And then Ratts is following. And what happens is Ratts comes his whole station wagon hookup. Even though it's bigger, it is much faster than this junky old land speeder, and he overtakes them or catches up, and he basically drives into the back of the land speeder, and he starts to crush it. Man, it's
gold grease lightning.
Yeah, this is definitely like Owen is like I think saying out loud like, I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix that. That's really a lot of damage. So they're still racing, but Ratts Tyrell's whole vehicle, his whole family is literally pressing down on this little human boy's land speeder. Ken, how does Owen retaliate?
He tries to break free, tries to break off. So he veers left, but what he's discovered is the speeders, they're connected. They're so crunched that he can't break away.
Yeah.
He can't break away. And so now he's panicking a little bit. Sweat's beating down. That the twin sons are aging him even faster. His first gray hair is probably starting to show up.
In the stubble.
In the stubble. And that's a bad day when that happens, trust me. I think he can't break free. Now his panic is setting in.
Okay. And he decides then that he needs to somehow salvage what is happening here. He's losing the land speeder. He doesn't know if he can repair it, so he thinks maybe if I can get up there to the cab of that vehicle, I can stop this guy.
Damn,
maybe even steal a cab. So just like the young James T. Kirk, he gets out. He grabs a hydro spanner that he has with him. He crawls over the back of the land speeder. He jumps onto the front of Ratts Tyrell's vehicle, uses the hydro spanner, and smashes it open, shatters glass all over Ratts Tyrell. Ratts Tyrell is cut and screaming. His glass explodes around him. And, his hands are up, and his hands are taking most of the glass. And a crazed, maddened Owen Lars, at 10 years old, jumps into the front of the cab with a bleeding Ratts Tyrell. What happens next, Hector?
Dude, Ratts is done, dude. Are you kidding me? This is the day before the race. He needs to focus on other things, and this little shit kid is like giving him this much grief. No, he is going to do the old action movie trick. He's going to like slam on the brakes to then propel Owen off of him onto the land speeder as the land speeder kind of skids to a halt because nobody's driving it. Just kind of slows down as like he slams on the brakes and kind of and Ratts Tyrell like skids out. The whole family, the wife's freaking out. All the kids are like, half of them are like having fun, the other half are like crying. Like the baby's like, yay! But like they're like, So he skids it to a halt, and he kind of like bounces off of the wheel or whatever contraption he's using to control it. And he looks at his wife, and she's just giving him this like this glare of like, "What do you think you're doing?"
What are we doing
and then he looks over to Owen, and Owen is on the land speeder, and he like pops his head up because the land speeder stopped, and they're both sort of pulled over.
Okay.
And then Ratts goes to reach for a wrench.
Space wrench?
A space wrench.
Yeah.
A hydro wrench. I don't know. Like a meaty wrench that looks big in his tiny little amphibian
Not that one,
hands.
but the other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
A
he
really big pod racing wrench.
This one, almost as big as his crotch, and he's going to get out of the vehicle, and he's he lands on the desert floor, and now he's walking over to this kid.
Yeah. I think this has gotten them close to the edge of Mos Espa. So now, as often happens in Databank Brawl, some people are beginning to witness this fight.
Yes.
So Ratts Tyrell jumps out, and he is racing over to Owen, and for a moment, it actually looks cool, strangely, because they're both armed with large tools, and they're swinging like those swords in Star Wars, which are called lightsabers. They're swinging, they're blocking, they're hitting each other a little bit.
Hector, are they?
Yeah, that's right, Mrs. Greenwood. They're called lightsabers.
So they are basically having a strangely impressive tool battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
And people on the edge of Mos Espa are starting to gather.
The citizens are coming out.
Yeah.
The prequelist I am. I love the prequels and this era of storytelling, like you said, but I can't stand the extras in Phantom Menace and the pod racing scene. So they're doing the like, ho, ha,
tool battle.
Yeah, it's really bad.
This just a typical day in Mos Espa.
Yeah, it's another
like,
day.
oh man, another fight in the street. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. And
who is
people are
it
getting
this
out their
time?
chance cubes, which always happens
is it
whenever there's a
another,
battle.
another 10-year-old human child? Typical. Let's watch this fight.
I think there are a lot of aliens that don't understand at human age, and like, that guy's 37, right?
Yeah.
Like, they don't know. They don't know. And as we always do, what we do towards the end of our combat is we pick a dramatic moment to pause, and this feels like it. And we're going to go around and we're going to discuss who we think would win in a combat and who do we think should win just kind of morally. Who do we want to win? All those things. Bert, let's start with you. Who do you want to win this fight?
I think I have to give it to Ratts. For
Okay.
sure. 100%.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because, again, Owen needs to learn from his mistakes. Mm-hmm. This all started because he apparently took his family's land speeder for a joyride against his father's wishes,
Right.
crashed into somebody, and in the response of doing, sure, yeah, there was
no
some
responsibility
there
for it, yeah.
took no responsibility. There was some tension that was raised, but
Yeah.
kind of instigated all of this, and really in typical kind of moral of the story fashion,
Yeah.
needs the shit kicked out of
Thank
him.
you. Thank you. I would agree with that. I feel
right.
like I'm letting my knowledge of this universe play into this, but
Sure.
like Ratts is dying tomorrow, so I want to give him a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, he's dead.
Hector,
yeah.
you've done a great job of really painting the family picture with him today.
Yeah.
So I think yes.
So I want him to have a win. And like Bert was saying, like Owen, as soon as we decided he was 10, I'm like, well, he's fine. Like he's gonna learn a lesson at 10 years old, as we all do when we're 10 and we do stupid stuff. And the other thing too that I think always plays into this is I always root for the underdog.
Sure.
And I feel that in this case, Owen is the underdog, except for the fact that Owen's a human. And even on the Outer Rim planets, I feel like humans in Star Wars, like they're top dogs everywhere.
Sure.
It's always the little weird aliens
Yeah.
that get shit on and kicked on and stuff. So
It's
so
funny
I
when
want-
you explode and die in front of your family
Thank
because
you.
you're different.
I want this Alina to look at this human in the eye and be like, don't. Like, just like, don't mess with me. And for this human to feel fear at least once when he's 10, and then maybe years later,
Yeah.
like, I treat droids like shit. I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
But at least when he was 10, like, oh, I got scared because an alien yelled at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some feelings on this, but Ken, I want you to go first.
Look, we're about to have an amazing wrench on wrench fight.
Yes.
this is what's going to happen. Wrench on wrench action is it's a great thing. So I was leaning towards Owen.
Winning the fight.
Winning the fight, but I got to say, both of you have really shown me that that this might be Ratts' fight. I love what Hector's bringing here with the Ratts getting a victory in life that he's about to lose. Maybe he dies now and the stories change. I don't know. And then, what you're saying, Bert, is very true about Owen, and I think this could be a valuable lesson. But I don't think he's going down without a fight.
Yeah. Oh no, he's going to get some swings in. We'll finish the fight. But yeah, I am totally in the corner of Ratts. I think this is an opportunity for Owen to learn so many different lessons. You've illustrated many of them, Hector. But I think one thing that's important to our narrative is he left to have adventure, to go see the pod race. He had an opportunity to have a great interaction with a pod racer, with one of the stars of the race. But he let all of his judgment and his anger and his hubris get a hold of him. He could have got a signature. He could have just got it like a nice. I'm sure that Ratts Tyerell is carrying some glossies.
Yeah.
He could have got some merch.
Into a fender bender with your hero.
Yeah.
And instead of being like, oh, I'm so sorry, can I buy you a drink? Or what? I mean, again, he's 10 years old. You want to get in a fight. It's like
Drinking age in Tatooine is 8.
Sure,
It's
sure.
8,
Good.
The Roxbury guys, when they found Richard Grieco, they went to the club with him after that fender bender. They did not like, oh, we're going to beat the crap out of Richard Grieco. They took advantage of that opportunity. They're like, we were just going to go to the Roxbury. Guys, I can get you in. Oh, great. But, fun, I was thinking of this as Ken was describing, like, what if Ratts loses? What if 10-year-old Owen kicks Ratts Tyrell's ass or maybe even kills him? Let's say kicks his ass.
Yeah.
How about this theory? Ratts is out of the race, but because he needs to compete the next day, his oldest son, who is the same size and looks just like him, enters the race.
Or his wife.
Or his wife the next day. It's like, now competing Ratts Tyerell and all these racist humans on
That's why
Tatooine. They
he's got
can't
the
tell.
vote. They can't
tell.
That's why they got the vote. They're like, oh, that's definitely Ratts Tyerell. And it's like a woman who just gave birth. It's, it's an Alina who just gave birth. So she competes. And in the stands, that's Ratts crying like, no, it should have
My
been me.
eldest son. I love that you have managed to make some fan fiction of the fan fiction we're making right now.
And just to caveat this, you definitely described earlier that their level of understanding is almost at birth. So even the small baby is understanding fully well the concept of death.
Yeah.
And the mom is gone.
Boy. Okay, yeah. This is very, very painful. But, all Star Wars storytelling is from a certain point of view. So we're going to finish telling the story where Ratts wins the battle. And if you want to believe the wonderful story that Hector has laid out, listener, you can believe that story.
It's like a dark version of Miranda Otto's character in Return of the King, where she wears, no one knows it's a woman, and she saves the day. Nope, this is bad editing.
I am no Ratts Tyerell. Anyway, back to our fight in which Ratts Tyerell is going to win, and Owen is going to learn many, many wrench lessons. So how bad is the pounding? Here's what I'm kind of imagining.
It's a question I've asked myself a lot.
I think actually Ratts manages to hit Owen's hand so that his hydro spanner goes flying out.
Well, I think first there's a massive just clink, and there's that clank, a couple like Owen. Yeah. Owen's probably fought a Tusken Raider already at this point.
Yeah, dang.
He's probably exactly. He's got to. It's a tough life on Tatooine. So I think there's a little bit clink, and like the crowd is like, hoo, ha, oh no, like the kid might win. We've seen some kids win in town. They're like, and then that's when Owen makes a fatal mistake, stumbles, trips on a little pebble, and that's when Ratts hits the hand, knocks over.
Okay. And I think now that Ratts could stop now, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe even his wife is like, which is the Alina yell for stop. But he can't because he's a father. He's raising kids, and he knows that he needs to impart wisdom. Right. So he starts raining blows down, none of them to be fatal, but them to hurt. And he starts yelling life lessons in his language. So, Bert, what is the first? Where does he hit him, and what is the life lesson he screams?
He's such a dad.
Absolutely hits him in the legs, so that there is a deep-seated fear and anger in the Lars family about aliens taking or harming their legs. And as each kind of blow comes down, and you're feeling this. Again, these are tools that weren't designed for weapons, but have now been fashioned to it. So there's maybe shock and he has the wrench, so it's just whack. Every hit is, despite this alien language, everything that's going into Owen's head is his father's voice.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's
deep.
Yeah.
Just do your chores. If you do the right thing. People will respect you. Like to own up to your mistakes, and it's just every single thing.
There's no shortcuts. There's no such thing as shortcuts.
Every hit just slowly is reinforcing all of these messages as he's starting to kind of black out a little bit. Not fully, but he's just everything is just kind of mixing between the pain and
the stars are circling his head.
Yeah. So this is full super ego internalization, where Owen is internalizing all these life lessons. What other life lessons that may or may not actually be real are floating through Owen's mind, Ken?
The life lessons are stay on the farm.
Where it's safe.
Don't trust other species. Bad lessons he's going to impart to a young impressional Anakin at some point when they meet and he brings his girlfriend by the house.
Jawa's always tried to cheat you.
Jawa always tried to cheat you. And of course later on to Luke, of course, too, I should say.
Music is bad. Don't listen to music.
No dancing.
No dancing.
Wormy and Cammy, don't hang out with them down in Tashi Station. A lot of that stuff going on there. And he hears also in the distance one of our former competitors, Jira, the old woman Phantom Menace, is like, storms are coming, Owie. Like she's just like he hears that. Like there's trouble in his head. So a lot of the lessons, a lot of things in the future that make him are being pounded into his brain now.
Exactly, and it is true that if it is a day before, storm is a coming.
Storm is a coming.
Canon, that's true. Hector, you have been tapped into the dad brain of this episode. Any other strange lessons, true or not true, that Owen is internalizing as he's being whacked about by Ratts Tyerell?
I think he's pretty much full up with the lessons. I picture a lot of... like in Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, a lot of like Meatloaf as the father figure, like yelling at a young JB. But what else? Well, the other thing that's happening is that Ratts' family, some of his older children, maybe even the baby, what they're seeing is like a dad who's kind of hit rock bottom, who's like kind of
100%.
Gone over the edge, and they are getting some lessons of stand up for your family, protect your family, and put troublemakers in their place, and and to kind of stand up to bullies. Because to the Tyerell family, this kid is like, I'm going to hit your car and keep driving. So they are seeing a little bit of dad enact some justice of like, hey, if you do some damage, you're going to have to suffer with some consequences. But they're also seeing this dad take out his aggression on this kid that's like, what are you really stressed about? You just had a kid. Yep. You guys don't have any money. Yep. You're in this race, and if he doesn't perform tomorrow, they're kind of screwed. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think some of the older kids are like, Dad, stop.
Yeah. I
Dad,
think, in
come
fact,
on.
they
enough.
begin to pull him away because they can tell in their Alina language, he had been yelling life lessons about, like, you don't crash into somebody else's speeder. You just say, I'm sorry. I'm so stressed about this race. Suddenly, his subtext, Ratts Tyerell, is just screaming out loud.
Yeah.
Size is not important. I am not that small, really. If you look at other species, I'm not really the smallest species. I mean, look at Gascon. Gascon. Lots of people are smaller than me.
And my
children,
engines are adequately sized.
They're not too big or too small. They're just right. And he is pulled away by the children. Yeah. And just then, a young girl runs in from the crowd that has been gathered.
Yeah.
And begins...
Stop! Don't hit him! Stay down!
Stop!
Stay down!
And
You're
begins to help Owen to his feet. Because for all the wax, they're all little surface bruises. There's no broken bones.
Yeah.
We're not monsters.
Yeah,
We did not beat a 10-year-old child to the point of broken bones.
Yeah.
We're all good. And this little girl runs up and says, Do you need help? And
it is...
Maybe. And of course, this little girl is Brew White.
Brew White, son. A very young, it's a start of a modern day love story. And it is, there's even like some ahs in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
They can just see it.
And he looks up, there's the sun is around, like forming around her face. So it's almost like a shadow. He can't see. His vision is blurry. And that she comes into focus as she stands in front of the sun, blocking the sun from Owen's eyes. And he sees for the first time a little Baru.
It is beautiful. And
can I?
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you an angel?
And as he shares that last true line, not even a come on. He's heard about those angels. Yeah, heard about he's really just curious.
Yeah,
as he is being helped to his feet, and the family of Ratts Tyerell is making their way away from this conflict. Jira pops out one more time. Is like, storm is a coming, and also love, and we fade out on this adventure.
Written and directed by George Lucas.
Sounds about right.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Hector, and thank you, Bert, for joining us for what is one of the most emotional.
That had some layers to it. You guys brought some layers.
Yeah, really.
It's those descriptions. You guys pointed out the layers that were already in there.
Yeah.
With those Wikipedia descriptions that, we always just gloss by, but there's some stuff in there.
Yeah,
there's stories.
There's a lot there, and this is officially from the Lucasfilm Databank.
I thought you were about to say this is officially canon.
It is in my head.
Oh yeah,
it is 100% in my head.
Oh yeah, no, we've gotten some nice messages from listeners of like, I never see these scenes again. When I think just a day before the pod race, he was beating Owen Lars with a space wrench.
And it may or may not have actually been him. Could have been his son or wife.
Yeah. We don't know. That canon will be filled out in your mind. So if there are characters that you would like to see fight, you can always let us know. Send us a message. Use the hashtag Databank Brawl. Ken, where can people find you?
Hey, you can find me at Ken Napzok. That includes Twitch, where I'm playing Battlefront 2 badly while you guys chat with me, and also some WWE stuff too, and more stuff coming. Having a lot of fun on Twitch. It's a brand new world for an old gray beard like me, but having a lot of fun.
Excellent. And Bert, besides Pencils and Parsecs, where can people find you and your stuff?
You can find me at Ninjanomics 101. I'm pretty much all I do is Pencils and Parsecs. Occasionally other things at Hyper. But yeah, check it out. If you want the same level of deep emotional storytelling in the Star Wars universe, that's pretty much what we do.
With a backdrop of like horrible tragedy and like awful things that happen.
I know people disagree with me on this, but I feel like we are the equivalent of an HBO take on Star Wars.
Yeah.
So,
and I want to give
Ooh.
Bert some credit. At the beginning of this, he said that the show is talented people and him. This is how good Bert is of a GM.
Yeah.
He will play scenes as my character's like life mate, and Bert cries when he's doing, like, no joke, and
Gets
he
in it.
is phenomenal. Bert is a great actor. And he
you go,
doesn't even
Bert.
consider himself an actor. Like,
I'm just turned on by Hector in general. So it's very easy.
That's the normal reaction to arousal is weeping, right? Yeah.
one tear.
It's beautiful.
And where can people find Pencils and Parsecs besides just Googling it?
Twitch.tv/HyperRPG. We are Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can check out all the episodes on HyperRPG's YouTube, but definitely check us out live because you
It's
can. It's super fun. The community that's watching it has a great time. We do this whole back and forth of light and dark. We do throw shade at each other. It's super great, and you can participate by kind of unlocking things. And the group participation is the best part of it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I had
Bert-
a chance to do that one shot with you guys a couple weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you guys welcomed me in. Haven't rolled dice in a while.
Yeah.
And you guys were so nice and great. But the fans were great. The fans really, and I you get those gifts made of all you guys.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Hector, you do a lot. Where can people find you?
Lots of places, but can I suggest a character right now for a future episode of this?
Sure.
Do you guys only do canon characters now, or do you do legends?
Yeah, every once in a while we do a Legends special.
Legends special. Okay, well, because I know there's at least one canon Togorian who she is in the Thrawn novel. And she's like a fight trainer on Coruscant. Like she helps.
Oh, yeah.
So Orinda Price.
Yes,
and-
Orinda
okay.
Price is like combat trainer on some lower level at Coruscant. So that would be one. It would be, I'm forgetting her name, but she is a Togorian, which is like a 9-foot tall cat creature.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's right.
That's the character that I play on Pencils and Parsecs, as I play a Togorian. Or if you're going to go Legends with it, then pick from the first Han Solo book of the Han Solo trilogy, The Paradise Snare. There's a Togorian in that I base my character off of, who's named Murg. And he has 3 U's and an M, and so I would pick Murg as the combatant as well. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
always
we have it
consider
back
that.
for a special where those two characters fight.
what? Dang, that'd be fun. Cat fight.
Cat fight.
Literally.
Big space cat fight. So, Hector, where can people find you?
Find me on the internet at different places at Hector is Funny, and also be sure to check out if you guys like hearing people talk about movies. I'm on a podcast with my buddy Keller Knobloch that we got to have you on. We're going to have Bert on in November, where Keller and I have decided to watch a movie a week, and we took a list that is the 500 greatest films of all time.
Oh, wow.
And we did the math, and if it's one movie a week, it's going to take us 10 years. And then we have a buddy. We have a buddy on each week. We've had Emma Fyfe on talking about Superman Returns. We've had guests like Maude Garrett, Augustine Rios. We're going to have Clark Wolf on to talk about the movie Scream. So it's just like, once a week we get to watch either a great movie or a weird, terrible one that we're like, why did somebody consider this one of the greatest movies of all time?
That's
So
great.
that's at 500GF Podcast on Twitter, and then you can find it on iTunes and different places.
Awesome. We always like to thank Tony Thaxton for our awesome theme music. He has a Patreon where you can hear him check out even more Star Wars music that he writes. You can also check out ForceCenter on patreon.com/ForceCenter. We're on TeePublic with merch. That's tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter. We have a website now. It is at forcecenterpod.podomatic.net. For myself, you can check out my podcast, Obsessed, that is all about people liking things a lot. And you can check out my website, josephscrimshaw.com, for comedy albums and live shows and all that. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram as @JosephScrimshaw. You can like Force Center on Facebook and follow us on Twitter as @ForceCenterPod. And until next time, as Luke Skywalker once said, well, no one was really listening to him, I care. That's it for Databank Brawl.